Hi, I'm Patricia, and I'm 54 years old. Some people might call me ordinary, but my sister-in-law thinks I'm privileged and don't understand what it's like for most people. Let me explain why. My husband Robert is also 54, and we both have full-time jobs. We don't have kids, so my sister-in-law thinks we're lucky because we live in a nice area. Our neighborhood is close to downtown Boston and Chinatown, plus it's easy to get around with the subway nearby. The house we live in used to belong to my grandfather, then my parents, and now us. When they passed away, we left our apartment and moved in here. So my sister-in-law is 46 years old, which is 8 years younger than me. She often comes to visit us without her husband and their 12-year-old child. It takes her 2 hours to get here from her home, and she likes spending weekends in downtown Boston. My husband, Robert, is her older brother, and he remembers her being born when he was still in elementary school. Apparently, she was a cute baby, and their parents spoiled her because she came along later in their lives. Despite all this, I just can't seem to like her. She always makes snide remarks about my life, saying things like, "You've had it easy growing up in a nice place like this, haven't you?" Her favorite phrase is, "I grew up in the countryside where there was nothing fun to do, while you must have had a cozy, carefree life." It's pretty clear she doesn't think highly of me. But despite her attitude, she enjoys visiting downtown and Chinatown and always shows up at our place without bringing anything. When I ask her about it, she says, "Even if I brought something from the countryside, you'd probably make fun of it." She keeps going on about how convenient it is for us to live without a car in the city, while people like her from rural areas spend a lot on gas. Whenever I try to defend myself, saying that her area must be nice too, she accuses me of being sarcastic. She insists that living in a city where everything is within walking distance and there's good public transportation means I don't know any real struggles. It's frustrating because when I mention that I mostly stay home working during the day, she twists my words, claiming that I'm just bragging about living near tourist spots. It makes me wonder, who's the one being sarcastic here? Sometimes my sister-in-law's words can be pretty harsh, and I complain to Robert about it. But he just brushes it off, saying, "Oh, that's just how she is. She's very direct." Amidst all this, I heard that my sister-in-law is planning to build a house. So during one of her visits, I asked her where she planned to build it. She replied, "Obviously, near where I live now, Patricia. Unlike you, I had to buy the land. I didn't inherit any property like you did, so I can't afford to live in such a nice area. It must be nice being rich." That really got to me, so I asked her how I should have asked without being offensive. She just laughed and told me maybe I should just stay quiet because everything I say seems to offend her anyway. After that, she completely ignored me and I felt left out of the conversations. Even though she still comes over, she doesn't say a word to me anymore. But she keeps visiting even more often than before, and Robert doesn't seem to mind. I asked him why she ignores me when she's here, and he said, "I told you, Patricia. That's just how she is. You don't have to talk to her either. She leaves her husband and child at home when she visits, so we don't have to entertain them either. You don't have to go out of your way for her, but still." One day, she went out to Chinatown, came back, used the bathroom, and went straight to bed without saying a word. The next morning, she ate the breakfast I had made without even a thank you and left. I started feeling like our place had turned into a hotel. Am I supposed to be her cook, maid, and hotel manager? It feels like she should be buying a season pass at this point. 3 months later, she visited us again. Today, she planned to explore the town. But that evening, she spent a long time talking with Robert. She stayed the night and left the next day. But Robert was excited and showed me a bunch of pictures. "Hey, look at this. It's the house my sister built. Oh, her house is all built now. You're going to love this." He showed me a picture of a pristine white building. Indeed, it looked newly built and was very pretty. "Isn't this amazing?" Robert enthusiastically showed me another picture. I tilted my head, puzzled. At first glance, it looked like a garage, but from looking at the mop in the picture, I could tell it wasn't big enough to fit a car. "Who is that?" "That's right. Isn't it amazing?" Robert exclaimed proudly and then shouted out, "It's a garage for a motorcycle, and it's custom made. My Harley can fit in here." What? I was completely stunned. Wait, so you're saying this is your sister's house, right? I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. And you've been talking about swapping houses? Caught off guard by this unexpected response and development, I was shocked. I dropped the plate that I was holding. She's been saying that she likes this house's location for a while now, and I've been saying that I don't like how old this house is since it's been passed down from your family for generations, Robert explained. So she suggested, well, how about I build a new house here, and we swap houses? So I had her build a special motorcycle garage there so I can park my Harley. Wait, huh? What? I was taken aback. He never discussed any of this with me. I don't want to leave this house. It's not like I have any particular feelings about her house. Actually, I can't even process it all yet. Robert started to get irritated, perhaps because he didn't expect my objection. As far as I'm concerned, his reaction was unexpected. What are you hesitating for? My sister and I have been discussing this for a while. So what? I was never included in any of those discussions. You guys have been ignoring me this whole time. Hey, think about this. It's a really good offer. Plus, there's a garage where I can keep my motorcycle. Wait, what about me? Well, you enjoy watching suspenseful shows, right? They have a TV in their house too. Robert really loves his motorcycle. His Harley Davidson means a lot to him. As for me, I don't have many hobbies, but if I had to choose one, I like watching suspenseful shows like CSI or Columbo on Netflix. But what about my commute? Your bus and train journey will only be a little longer, that's all. Just a little longer? It's going to be an extra 2 hours. Well, I can ride my Harley. A 2-hour commute might be good for you. You've been putting on some weight lately, so think of this as a chance to lose weight. Lose weight? Even then, a 2-hour commute is crazy. I can't do that every day. But he was already excited about the new house and its garage for his Harley. He seemed surprised and annoyed that I was attached to our old house. Then he gave me an ultimatum. I'm giving our house to my sister and her husband. They have a new house with a garage for my bike. Why would you refuse? If you don't agree, I'll divorce you, he said firmly. Divorce? Did he just threaten me with divorce? I was shocked. Okay, let me sleep on it, I managed to say. I lay in bed stunned. A new house with a garage just for his bike. It seemed like it was all about Robert. His sister and her husband didn't even own a bike. They must have planned to take our house all along. And the fact that Robert agreed without talking to me first made me feel even worse. And then threatening divorce if I didn't agree? It felt like a threat. I couldn't forgive him for this. So for the next 8 hours until dawn, I was busy on my phone. The next day, I told Robert I agreed to move out. But I had a couple of requests. First, I needed 2 weeks to pack because I worked during the week. And second, they couldn't move in until we had moved out, okay? Yeah, sure, Robert said. You got them to build a garage, right? So as a thank you, I want to leave the house in really good condition. Let's hire professionals to clean it and hand it over 2 weeks after we leave. Robert agreed to that too. Happy with the arrangements, I called 2 places while Robert was out. The next 2 weeks went by quickly. Robert was happily packing, singing some strange song about his Harley. I called my sister-in-law to ask, how big are the rooms in your house? I needed to figure out where to put our furniture. They were also calling us about their layout since they were moving from an apartment. 4 weeks' notice for moving is really short. It seems like they're rushing to get ready for their move. Then, on moving day, there was a knock on the door. Hello, we're from U-Haul Moving and Storage, said the first group of movers when they arrived. Great, come on in, Robert directed them. But soon after, there was another knock. Hello, we're from 2 men and a truck, said another group of movers. Robert was surprised. I quickly stepped in. Sure, come on in, I said, ushering them inside. Wait, what's happening? Robert exclaimed. What's happening is I said we're moving, so I'm moving to our new home, I explained. Okay, everyone, the boxes with yellow tape are mine. Please bring those this way. The rest can go with U-Haul, I said quickly. An hour later, I said, well, thanks for your help. I'll send you the divorce papers later. Wait a minute, Robert panicked. I glanced back. You're the one who wanted a divorce, remember? I left Robert behind and hopped into the taxi I had called. But the ride was short. Long day, huh? A man approached me. It was my older brother, Dave. He had come to help me move. Well, it's good you found a place in 2 weeks. It's just a rental, but yeah. What a mess. It's more than a mess. Anyway, I marked all the important stuff like the rice cooker with yellow tape, so I'll manage on my own. Dave pitched in. Even though the movers handled the big stuff, I still needed help with the rest, so his help was huge. With Dave's assistance, I got everything moved in one day. All right then, give me a call in a couple of weeks, my brother said as he left. 2 weeks went by since I moved. Just as I anticipated, my phone rang. Hello, my sister-in-law said on the other end. What's happening? I stayed silent, just listening. The house is gone. I tried not to laugh and looked down. It was hard not being able to speak. It's just an empty lot now. Why aren't you saying anything? You told me to keep quiet, remember? I replied. My sister-in-law screamed loudly, and I couldn't help but burst out laughing. It turns out my sister-in-law and Robert are in on it together. Then Robert got on the phone. Did you have to do all that? He yelled, sounding almost like he was going to cry. Hey, you're the one who threatened me. I couldn't help but find it hilarious. And remember, I said I wanted to leave the house clean, didn't I? Your way of cleaning is extreme, he retorted. It's the cleanest slate possible. A chance for a fresh beginning, Robert said, clearly frustrated, his fists clenched. Anyway, come over so we can discuss this. There's nothing to discuss. If you don't come, I won't sign the divorce papers. Do you remember when I initially refused to leave the house? You threatened to divorce me. It's funny how fast you've changed your tune. Shut up. All right, I'll come to your place, but I'm too nervous to come alone, so I'll bring someone with me. I contacted my brother. Are you up for this? He replied, absolutely. He's always been dependable. Thank you all for gathering today. My sister-in-law's husband, whom I hadn't seen since the wedding, started, almost like it was another wedding ceremony. He seemed shy. My brother Dave, my husband, his sister, her husband, and I all sat around the table in my husband's new home. We couldn't have the kids with us, so they were in the next room. But the atmosphere in our room was tense. My sister-in-law had come in cheerful, but she was shocked to see an empty lot where the house used to be. Since they'd already given up their apartment, they couldn't go back in a hurry. So the movers brought all their stuff to my sister-in-law's new house. Now there were two of everything, 2 cabinets, 2 tables, making the space feel really cramped. Seeing everything doubled up was a shock. It felt like something you'd hear about in a TV broadcasting mishap. Why would you demolish the place? This is too much, Robert's sister exclaimed angrily. Robert joined in, yeah, just because my sister is easygoing and you're sensitive doesn't give you the right to do this to her. How could you sink so low? They were both yelling, but I couldn't help but laugh. I inherited that London house. It was originally my grandfather's, so I can do whatever I want with it. My husband defended himself. Then my brother added, basically, since Patricia inherited the London house, it's her individual property and doesn't count as marital assets. So you, as her husband, don't have the right to decide what happens to it or give it to your sister. Huh? What? My sister-in-law and husband were stunned by the unexpected revelation. Well, if you had told us that from the start, this could have been avoided. Robert tried to deflect blame. Classic Robert and Patricia, always in sync. So are we just blaming each other now? I thought silently. It's too late to object. My sister-in-law's husband sighed. You threatened me with divorce and told me not to talk to your sister. So I couldn't say anything. I finally spoke up. Patricia was threatened with divorce, and you wouldn't even let us talk to your sister. What choice did we have? Dave chimed in. So I decided to sell the property. The house was too big for me to live in alone anyway. The truth is, the day after I was threatened with divorce, I made 2 phone calls. One was to Dave, and the other was to a demolition company. They said it would take 10 days to demolish the house. My sister-in-law lives about 2 hours away, so she wouldn't have had time to come here after getting short notice for the move. Same goes for my husband, who moved to a newly built home near his sister's apartment. And that's how their new home ended up being an empty lot. That's enough. We've lost our home. And we had to move twice because we stayed at Robert's house temporarily when we found out ours was gone, which doubled our moving costs. My sister-in-law exclaimed, Do I look like I care? You should be grateful you're not being sued for trespassing on my property. You couldn't move in because it was razed to the ground, so you dodged a bullet. Ha ha ha. I couldn't help but laugh. Does that mean you didn't have Patricia's permission to start all this moving business? My quiet brother-in-law finally spoke up. That's right. She told us to stay quiet and my husband threatened me. They just went ahead and made plans without us. My sister-in-law's husband revealed. Hey, what were you thinking? You've been spending money in Boston and Chinatown for the past 3 months. You left me and the kids while you went shopping, and now that you've decided to live there, you sold our car. We can't live without a car here, but this house only has a garage for a motorcycle. Do you realize how much trouble you've caused everyone in your family? My brother-in-law erupted in anger. What's wrong with you? My sister-in-law looked shaken. It seemed like she had never seen him this angry before. Patricia, my brother-in-law continued, this one here told me I'm going to take my brother's house and move. If you disagree, I'll divorce you. Can you believe it? It's surprising how much siblings can think alike. I was nearly bursting with laughter. I knew I'd have a sore stomach from laughing too much tomorrow. But since I'm a software engineer who can work from anywhere, and I didn't want the kids to be without their mom, I agreed to her demand. But now, seeing how things have turned out, I realize how my wife's selfishness could hurt our whole family. And what you said earlier about Robert's threat, that really woke me up. My brother-in-law took a deep breath, and looking at his wife, said, "You threatened me." Finally he declared, "Well, it's over for us too. I'll take care of and raise the kids. I'll treat your threat like a proposal." "Now it's my turn," I said, turning to my husband. "Robert, I'll also treat your demand like a proposal. We're truly done now. Goodbye." "Oh wait, if I lose the house, doesn't that change things?" Robert exclaimed. "Exactly. The situation has changed, so it's not fair to cut us off like this," his siblings both shouted. I just brushed them off. My brother-in-law said, "You guys created this ridiculous situation, got all excited, and now you're just back to square one." After that, my sister-in-law's husband and I each hired a lawyer and pursued a mediated divorce. The newly built house that my sister-in-law had built was going to go to her husband, along with custody of the kids. My sister-in-law, who was always spending money and rarely at home, often left the kids' care to her husband. Even on weekends, the kids felt distant and lonely. But now that they're living with just their father, they say they're happier because they know their father will always be there for them. The new house ended up belonging to my sister-in-law's ex-husband because she couldn't afford the mortgage payments. It was shocking that she could spend money in Boston every 3 months without having any income. Her spending habits didn't change, and she ended up buried in debt. The motorcycle garage was going to be torn down to make space for a parking lot. My ex-husband, who had been working all this time, couldn't afford to keep his Harley after the divorce. Losing his bike and his hobby, he turned to alcohol to cope with his frustrations. I turned the empty lot where our house used to be into a parking lot. Being near Boston and Chinatown allowed me to charge high prices for parking, which became a steady income. With that money, I bought a cozy one-bedroom apartment. Sitting in front of the TV, I smirked as I watched my favorite show, CSI, with a beer in hand. I enjoyed a relaxing evening in my pajamas, with snacks and no interruptions. It was the perfect way to unwind after a long day.